Well, Australia's unemployment rate has been sensationally slashed to just 5.8% in a result labelled stunning by economists. It even made the news in the Hindu Times, so the rest of the world is clearly, and rightly so, jealous. And why wouldn't they be? With fresh figures from the ABS showing almost 90,000 jobs were gained last month, and women accounting for more than 8 in 10 of those new roles. To discuss this, I'm joined from Melbourne by the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. Josh, great to see you.
Good to see you, Rowan.
Treasurer, thank you so much for joining us. You rightly have had a broad smile on your face this week, firstly with the GDP figures showing 3.1% growth, but more importantly, I think, with this 5.8% unemployment figure. How did you do it?
Well, the jobs are coming back, but the job is not done. We know that there are people across the economy and sectors and regions that are doing it tough, and that's why the Morrison government will continue to be there for them, Rowan. But what we also know is that the unemployment rate has come down to 5.8%. And let's not forget that when we first hit this crisis, Treasury were telling me that the unemployment rate could reach as high as 15%. We've avoided some of the dramatic economic consequences that we've seen in other countries across Europe and the United States and Japan and elsewhere, and Australia's economy is recovering very strongly. 88,700 new jobs created in February. As you say, more than 80% have gone to women, more than 40% have gone to young people, and all those 88,700 new jobs are full-time jobs. So the road ahead may be a little bit bumpy. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, but certainly these numbers are very encouraging that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
How bumpy?
Well, JobKeeper is coming to an end in March, and as it has to come to an end. I mean, this is an economy-wide wage subsidy. Was always temporary. It was always an emergency measure, but it was always going to come to an end. Now, the Labor Party, they've never seen a spending proposal they haven't loved and a tax hike they haven't liked. And the reality is, after calling for JobKeeper to be tapered, they're now calling for it to be extended. We have to take the decision to end JobKeeper, move to different types of targeted other supports, which we're doing, like for the aviation and the tourism sector. But that economy-wide subsidy has to come to an end, and the economy needs to transition to the next phase.
Treasurer, there are accusations that the big end of town was, as Terry McCrann, the economics writer, suggests, a little overindulgent when it came to JobKeeper. Isn't it un-Australian to be given a handout by the taxpayer but then pocket it when it turns out you don't actually need it?
Well, we would welcome businesses that are in a position to pay back JobKeeper to do so, but the law at the time was the law that was adhered to by those businesses that took JobKeeper. And our focus was to get money out the door to businesses to keep their staff. I mean, you remember those heartbreaking images of tens of thousands of our fellow Australians lining outside Centrelink because they had lost their jobs, and there was fear right across the economy. JobKeeper was that economic lifeline that helped save the economy. It's now coming to an end. If businesses can pay it back, then they should, and we would welcome that. But at the same time, we're not going to retrospectively change the law and let the Labor Party start going after business, big and small.
Speaking of the Labor Party, in a speech last month, you argued that the superannuation system was too heavily weighted in favour of maximising retirement income at the expense of greater cash flow during people's working lives when presumably they need it. Can you explain that thinking to us?
Well, ultimately, people are passing away tragically with the vast bulk of their retirement savings intact. Now, that wasn't the purpose of super when it was established. Our focus is on ensuring people have a adequate retirement income, and of course to have the age pension to supplement or for the retirement income if that is not what people have. But we also want to encourage people to spend across the economy. We want to see people have more money in their pockets. That's why we're supporting tax cuts and the like. And when it comes to the industry funds. When it comes to the superannuation industry, the Labor Party always looks through an ideological lens, and it may be a surprise to your viewers to know that every year around $30 billion is paid in superannuation fees. That's more than people spend on their household energy and gas bills.
Absolutely. The union super funds, the big funds, are launching a multi-million-dollar campaign warning people. They're saying that they might have to sell their family home if the government goes ahead with changes to super. This is a scare campaign, correct?
Well, there's another scare campaign from the Labor Party and their fellow travellers among some of those industry-supported, union-supported super funds. It's very regrettable that they will try to play on to people's fears about their own retirements with these scare campaigns, but it's not new. It's the oldest trick in the book from these guys.
And finally, Treasurer, our debt is massive. That's acknowledged. How do we pay it all back?
Well, the first thing to say is our debt is manageable. We entered this crisis with a strong balance sheet. We delivered the first balanced budget in 11 years. I was obviously looking forward to delivering the first budget surplus in 12 years. That was not to be because we were hit with a once-in-a-century pandemic. Our spending has been front-loaded in the sense that the vast bulk of the spending was over the first couple of years. We didn't build in long-term structural spending, and with today's interest rates we can manage that debt, and our debt is still, even when it peaks, less than half of what it is in the United Kingdom and in the United States. So we'll continue to spend where is required, but we'll do so in a prudent and responsible way. And when it comes to paying back that debt, the best way to do that is to grow the economy. The way we delivered the balanced budget was to bring welfare dependency down to a 30-year low, and that saw our welfare bill come down, and that saw more people in work. So that's the key, that's our focus, that's how we will repay the debt into the future.
Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, so great to have you on the show on Credlin today. Thanks so much for your time, and keep on smiling. It's well deserved.
Thanks, Rowan. All the best to you and your viewers.